Mike here. You're watching Scout Restoration Yukon. In this video, I will install the outer bearing races for the steering knuckles, the inner axle seals, the pinion, the differential carrier, and the axles. This is not a how-to video. It's a how I do video. Let's get to work. I hope you like it. If you want to help, please subscribe to Scout Restoration Yukon. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out. Hi, Mike here, Yukon Scout Restoration. I've got most of the parts for the Dana 30 front axle for the Scout. So let's get to work. The first thing I'm going to do is install the 4 races for the steering knuckle bearings. I'm checking to be sure that the race has bottomed out. This is the last one. You can tell they're all the way in when you hear that ringing sound. Now I'm ready to install the inner axle seals. I've always used a threaded rod because it's so easy to screw up. So let's get to work. These are the new inner axle seals. These inserts help to guide the axle through the seals and prevent possible contaminants from entering the gear casing, because these axles don't have outer axle seals. Using a threaded rod to install the inner axle seals is a bit fiddly, but it's well worth it. I'm applying a little former gasket to the seal. I'm holding the seal in place as I tighten the washer against it. Installing the seals this way gets them in perfectly straight without damaging them. Okay, you can see this seal here, and as I tighten this nut, I'm pressing the seal in. I've started to seal, but I think it's maybe not a bad idea to back this off. The seal is going in straight. So you can see that the seal is going in perfectly straight, just like what we want. I've seen people screw these seals up trying to drive them in, and then they have to wait for another seal, so they can't finish the job. This is the slow way, but it works very well. The guide is still loose, so the seal has to go farther in. I'm using an 1 5/16 3/4 drive socket to push the seal in all the way so that it's tight against the axle guide. So there it is. The seal is all the way in, straight, undamaged, and tight against the guide. I'm just going to put a little bit of synthetic grease on there. Just some grease so it's lubricated when we install the axle. That side, the other side. So that's the way I install those inside axle seals. I've been doing it that way for over 30 years, and I've never damaged one. There are faster ways, for sure, but they're risky. This one works. Now it's time to install the pinion. I do the final cleaning with some fresh bar salt and the soft paintbrush. and just blow it dry with compressed air. I'm dipping the pinion in fresh gear oil. The shims behind the big pinion bearing adjust pinion depth or backlash. And I measured the backlash and it was 10 thou, which is acceptable. These are the original shims. I'm just going to dip them in the oil and put them on the pinion. These shims adjust bearing preload. Before I took it apart, I felt the drag on the pinion, and it felt like the preload on the pinion bearing was bang on. I then measured the shim pack, and it was 65 thou. Next goes the outer bearing. Dip that in gear oil too. That on there. Like that. And then this oil baffle goes on there. Make sure I got lots of oil on the splines. I'll slip the Yukon without the seal. Tightening that up with 1 1/8 socket. It's a slight drag. So not enough preload. So what I think I'll do is remove the thinnest shim. Because what I'm thinking is this preload was probably perfect when it was new. Here it goes. Shims, bearing, oil slinger, yoke, washer, nut. Let's tap it a little bit. The spec is 10 to 15 inch-pounds. I don't need a fish scale. This preload is good. These seals with the spring in them, when you hammer them on, sometimes the spring pops off. Doesn't usually do much damage, just lays there. But it could do damage. So I always put some grease. This is synthetic grease. I always put some grease in behind that so the spring doesn't pop off. I'll just dry this out a bit. Put some farmer gasket, Permatex Aviation farmer gasket. Right. Got to lubricate the yoke. Now we've got a new seal. Dip it in the gear oil. Brake clean. Pressed air. Medium Loctite, non-permanent. And just hammer it on there with the impact. Turning freely with kind of just about the right drag. Feels nice. Final cleaning with clean Varsol, a soft brush, and compressed air. I'm lubricating the pinion with clean gear oil. Carrier bearings get lubed. The other side. Lots of oil. Flip it back over. Ground gear gets lubed. Spider gears, side gears. I'm turning them and lubricating them. Pinion needs to turn. So just set that like that. Dead blow hammer. Caps go on. The marks are aligned. I'm putting non-permanent Loctite on these bolts. 5/8 socket. I don't like to use power tools to put bolts in. I like to feel what's going on. They are just snug. I don't like to turn that at least one whole revolution. Snug these a little. Now, I'm going to give it a full turn again, just because. And the backlash is excellent. Like I said, the torque is 35 to 50. I'm going to torque these to 30. 30. 30. 30. 30. I go for another complete turn of the crown gear. This is going to be a really good axle, man. It's just coming together. So nice. Jump up to 40. Right. I'm not going to go to 50. I prefer to put the Loctite and don't go the max. So I'm going to go to 45. There we are. 45 foot-pounds. Final torque on the caps for the differential carrier. That's for the Dana 30. So now, we give her one full turn. I'm turning it one more revolution just to double check. Nice and smooth. I'm applying a thin coat of Permatex high temp Forma gasket to the housing and the cover, and I will wait for it to tack up before assembly. Now I'm cleaning the bolts with Varsol and compressed air. While I'm waiting for that silicone to set up, I'm going to very gently slide this axle in. I'll put some synthetic grease on the axle splines and where the seal rides. There. Now I'm going to very gently slide this in. Holding it up as I go. If you didn't clean the axle tube properly at this point, you'd be pushing all the crud into the housing. Okay, so we're in. Other side, same thing. There. Very gently slide this one in. Holding it up a little bit, if possible. There, now everybody's connected. Then I'll put 1 drop of motor oil on each bolt. Very carefully, just cover on there. I'm just running these bolts in. I'm not going to tighten them. I'm just running them in till they touch the cover. Because I don't want to squish that silicone. Then I'll tighten them tomorrow. That way we get a nice solid silicone gasket. Just till they touch the cover. Get the air out then. So they're all touching the cover. I think I'll just give them all a quarter turn. Or a little bit. Not even a quarter turn. 1 flat. I'll turn them 1 flat of the bolt head. There. Right. Now, I can wipe off this tiny little bit of silicone here. I'll just leave that till tomorrow. Hi, Mike here. Yesterday I installed the differential carrier cover using Permatex Red RTV gasket maker. I didn't tighten the screws, I just ran them in and just slightly snugged them. Now today I will torque the bolts to 15 foot-pounds. Let's get to work. I like to take a knife and trim any excess silicone. Now I'm installing the vent. I'll just put 1 drop of oil on the threads. It's very important to make sure that the differential housing can breathe. In my next video, I will install the steering knuckles. See you soon. In conclusion, the axle rebuild is going very well. In my next video, I will install the steering knuckles. I hope you like it. If you want to help, please subscribe to Scout Restoration Yukon. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out.